Hi everyone, welcome to my first Year 9 video for 2019. In this video I'm going to be going through the last 3 pages of the topic test that we did last week on financial maths. The reason why I'm only going through these last 3 pages is because for the first 2 pages was mostly just a review of percentages and ratios and rates, in which most people did fairly well in. I will be uploading the whole work solutions anyway, so if you do want to have a look through them, go ahead, or just ask me in class or whenever. But this is more focused on some of the newer, harder questions that we did towards the end of this chapter, which I saw quite a few silly mistakes here and there, so I want to kind of highlight those as I go through these, and hopefully this will be very useful for you to kind of identify where you're making silly mistakes. So let's get right into it. So in this first question, we see that Bill is a carpenter who earns a gross annual salary of $86,000. Throughout the year, he gave $520 in donations and spent $1,138 in work-related expenses. So what we want to do first is identify our key pieces of information. So we need to realize that this is gross annual salary, and then we also have $520 in donations and that much in work-related expenses. Basically, that's what this question boils down to, and so what we want to do first is calculate the taxable income for the year. So to calculate taxable income, what we're doing is we're getting that person's gross annual salary. So we're getting that $86,000, and we're just going to subtract all of those tax deductions. So this is going to be minus 520 minus 1,138, and when you add that, when you do that, you'll get 84,342. So fairly simple one bar, just subtracting those two things. And remember, the whole idea of taxable income is, yes, he's getting this $86,000, but of course he's going to pay a lot of tax and stuff. But when the Australian Tax Office looks at this guy Bill, they're not going to calculate the amount of tax he's paying on his full $86,000. They're going to be calculating on the 84,342. Going into the next question, so what we need to do now is use this tax table, and this is the current tax table, so in any future test I will be giving you this tax table as well. The only reason I wouldn't is because the tax table changed. And so we need to calculate the amount of income tax you will pay. So basically following this rule, using that 84,342 we just calculated. So we're not using 86,000, we're using the answer for question A. So first of all, we need to decide which tax bracket we're in. And we're clearly in this tax bracket because we're earning between 80,000 and 180,000. And so what we need to do is we need to follow this rule. We're going to be paying that much plus this. Okay, so we need to find 37% for everything over $80,000. So with these tax questions, you essentially work in reverse. You kind of work this way across. So we're going to find everything over 80,000 first of all. So we have 84,342 minus 80,000, because what we're trying to do is find everything that's over 80,000, and that is 4,342. What we need to do from there is find 37% of that, because it's 37 cents for every dollar. It's basically a fancy way of saying 37%. So we do 37% times 4,342, and that equals 1606.54. Then that's not the total amount of tax this person needs to pay, because of course we've got to read this whole tax rule. It's going to be 17,547 plus that amount. So therefore, we have our 17,547 plus 1606.54, which equals $19,153.54. So this is how much this person is paying in tax. Next, we need to calculate the amount that Bill will pay as part of the Medicare levy. So what we're going to do, we're told that the Medicare levy is 2%. So we're going to get 2% of his taxable income. So not that $86,000, and not on the previous answer either, where you get 2% of the taxable income. So we're just going to do 2 over 100. We're going to times it by 8, 4, 3, 4, 2. and that equals $1,686.84. So lastly, we want to calculate Bill's net income once all tax is being paid from the gross income. So what we're doing is we're going to go back to that gross income, not from the taxable income anymore. We're going to get that gross income and we're going to subtract the total amount of income tax and subtract the amount of Medicare levy. So we're going to get that 86,000 minus the $19,153.54 minus the $1,686.84, and that will give you $65,159.62. And the idea is that that is the amount of money that this person is actually getting in their net pay. Now, in real life, there'd be other expenses in there as well, like superannuation, any union fees, any student fees they need to pay off, something like that. But that's like a very basic idea of how tax works. Alright, so going into the next page now, we see that James borrowed $6,500 with simple interest rate of 5% per annum for 4 years. So what we first want to do is calculate the total amount that he must repay. So what we need to be careful here, well, let's first of all identify the key pieces of information. So we have that, that's our principal. We have that, which is our rate. And we have that, which is our number of years out there. Okay? What we want to do is we want to find the total amount. Now it's very clear here. This is one area where a few people made a mistake. Of course, we're talking simple interest here. So we're going to be talking about I equals PRN. We're going to be working with that formula, but that's not the answer. We've got to do one last thing after. So let's just quickly do this. So we got I equals 6,500 times 5 over 100. Remember, don't times it by 5 because it's essentially 100% if you do it like that. So it'll be 5 over 100, and then this will give you 1,300. Now that is the amount of interest that has been earned, but that's not what the question is asking. It's asking what's the total amount. So therefore, we need to do A equals the principal, so that's 6,500 plus that 1,300 interest, which equals 7,800. And that is the answer because it's asking for the total amount. So, going on with this, if James is to make monthly repayments of this 4-year period, calculate the amount he must pay each month. So again, we're making monthly repayments over 4 years, so we want to be identifying the key piece of information. We're going to find how much each monthly repayment is. Well, we know that he's going to be paying $7,800 in total, so $7,800 in total. And we've got to figure out, well, how many months is in a year? Is in 4 years? Well, this is just 4 times 12, which equals 48. So that means we're making 48 equal repayments. So we're going to get the total amount they need to pay. We're going to divide it by 48, which then equals $162.50. Now, one thing I want to make really clear right now, one thing I saw quite a lot, is first of all, when we're talking about money, you've got to have that dollar sign. That's really important. But then also, I saw a lot of people writing just 0.5, not putting a 0 after that. With money, you're also talking about 2 decimal places. It's always 2 decimal places when it comes to money. That does mean including a 0 afterwards. Okay, don't forget about that, because it could mean 5 cents as opposed to 50 cents instead. Going on to question 14 now. So we see that $1,200 invested 3 years and earns that much interest. Find the annual simple interest rate for this investment. So what we've got here is one of those reverse simple interest questions, where now we need to find what the rate is. So we know what P is, we know what N is, we know what I is. So we're trying to find what R is. So again, we're going to just put this into our simple interest formula. So we have 189 that equals 1,200 we're timesing it by R, and that's what we're trying to find. We're timesing it by 3. So to reverse it, we're going to say that R equals 189 divided by 1,200 divided by 3, which equals 0.0525. Now, what we're not going to do is just chuck a percentage at the end of that. 0.0525 means 5.25%. I just need to make sure you do that change at the end. Essentially, what we're doing here is we're reversing. We knew how much interest we earned. What we needed to do is we need to find the rate at which that was earning its interest. Going into this next one, we want to calculate the amount of interest earned on an investment of $72,000. Again, this is just another interest question. So $72,000, 6% per annum, 5 years. But here's the 2 most important words in the question: compounded annually. Compounded means that we're using compound interest, and annually means that we need to do the amount of years. I guess the other most important question, part of it, is the amount of interest. Okay, so the question isn't asking me to find how much you had at the end of those 5 years. The question is asking how much interest did I earn. So start us off by doing the compound interest formula. So we're going to do 7,200 times 1 plus 6 over 100 to the power of 5, which equals $9,635.22. Now most people got that right, but again, we've got to read the question carefully. It's not asking me to find the final amount in that investment. It's asking me to see how much interest I earned. So what we need to do is we need to take that final amount and subtract it by the principal. So therefore the interest is going to be $2,435.22. What I did is I took that total amount and I subtracted it by the principal. It's really important that we read the question there. That's why I put that question in the test. And then looking at this one, we have Ahmed's investment of $5,000 is compounded at 6% per annum for 4 years. So again, let's just identify the pieces of information. We have that, we have that, we have that. Now what we're going to do is calculate the amount he would have after the time period. So we are trying to find A. We don't care about I in this case. And the 2 most important words in this question are compounded quarterly. Quarterly meaning 4 times a year. Like, as we know, anything with quarters is 4. Okay? So what we're saying is, 12 divided by 4 is 3 months. That means every 3 months it is compounding. That means we also need to change our rate and our N, okay, in this question. So our P stays the same. I'm just going to write it down all completely this time. So I'm going to say P still is 5,000. I mean, we're still investing at 5,000, alright? But here my R is going to be, rather than 6% for the whole year, it's going to be 1.5% for a quarter of a year because I'm dividing it by 4. So my R is 1.5 over 100. And here N, again, this is 4 years, but I'm talking about quarters now. So it's not going to be 4, it's going to be 16 because that's coming from 4 years, 4 quarters in each. So 4 times 4 is 16. So going from there now, I can do A equals 5,000 times 1 plus 1.5 over 100 to the power of 16, which equals $6,344.93. So the key thing here is reading those last 2 words of the question. Those are the most important bits. Compounded quarterly. That means you have to change the rate. If it's in per annum, you need to change the amount of years because it's in years. Okay? We didn't need to subtract it by the interest at the end because the question wasn't asking me how much interest. It was asking what amount would he have. Okay, so we are trying to find that total amount, but we need to make sure that we change the rate and the number of time periods accordingly. And then going to this last page, so we see that Alice bought a car for $39,990. This car tends to depreciate at a rate, so again, let's just that. So that's the initial value. It's depreciating in value at the rate of 12% per annum. How much would it be worth after 7 years? So this is going to be put into a depreciation formula, which is basically just compound interest, except with a minus instead of it. So we're going to take V for value equals that principal amount, the amount that we bought it for, 1 minus 12.5 over 100 to the power of 7, which simply is $15,703.91. Fairly simple. You start to realize that this is depreciation. So when you see depreciate with a percentage, you should immediately be looking at that depreciation formula, which is 1 minus rather than 1 plus. Also, just one other thing. The question is just asking what should be the value of it. The question could have also asked, well, how much is it depreciated by? So what you'll do is you'll subtract that from the principal, that answer from the principal, because that's asking you how much did it go down by, which by the looks of it, just really quickly, it looks like it's gone down by $24,000 in those 7 years. Which sounds about right. I mean, if you've got a 7-year-old car, if you bought for nearly $40,000, you might be able to sell it for about $15,000, probably a bit less, who knows. Depends who you sell it to. If you sell it to a car yard, they'd probably buy it for $10,000 because they need to make a profit of themselves. Anyway, and this last question, question 18. Jake bought a TV valued at $2,000. He initially paid a 40% deposit on the TV and the balance to be repaid over 3 years with monthly repayments of $43. So let's look at the key things. We've got that $2,000, 40%, and then 3 years with monthly repayments of $43. Calculate the total amount he will repay. So total amount he will pay, and then also calculate the amount of interest he will pay. So quite a few bits here, but it's only 2 marks. Essentially, we need to find how much he's paying in total, and then how much interest is he paying. So to start us off, we're paying a 40% deposit. That means when Jake bought this TV from Good Guys or whatever, he paid 40% of it straight away. So let's find what that 40% is. We do 40 over 100. We're going to times it by 2,000, and that equals $800. So that deposit was $800. He paid $800. He took the TV out of JB Hi-Fi or whatever it was. And so now we need to calculate, well, how much did he pay in repayments? Well, we said that we're paying $43 per month for 3 years. So if we're doing per month for 3 years, that's going to be 36 months. Just 3 times 12. And when you do that, you'll get $1,548, and that's in your repayments. So in total, if you say total repaid, is obviously those two combined, right? It's not like he only paid $1,548, because that would be a sweet deal, because that means he's paid less over time than it actually was worth. He paid that $1,548 on top of that deposit, so it's going to be $2,348 in total. So that's the first bit, the total amount he repaid, but then also what we need to do is calculate the amount of interest he repaid. Well, of course, if it was originally $2,000, but you paid $2,348, we can say the interest is just that $348. Essentially, what we're saying is you paid $348 extra. A lot of people are trying to wedge some kind of percentage in there. Interest does not mean percent. Okay, interest means extra amount paid or extra amount gained or something like that. It doesn't need to be associated with the rate. Here, the only rate was the 40% deposit, which was kind of completely separate to the repayments. We could calculate some kind of rate if we wanted to, but the question wasn't asking you for the interest rate, it was just asking how much interest will you pay. Anyway, so that's just a rundown of those last 3 pages. Hopefully it's been useful, but of course if you have any other questions, make sure you ask them. And like I said, I will be uploading the work solutions for those first 2 pages as well. Hopefully this is useful, and if you have any further questions for future videos throughout this year, be sure to ask. I'm happy to make them. Hope this is useful.